Go.
Also a question for you, Secretary General. My name is Anabela Lajko from the Croatian Radio. You have repeatedly stated that Russia is the main threat to NATO and to Europe, of course, understandably. We all understand.
Of course, understandably. Yeah, Russia is the biggest. Yeah. You guys wonder why? You wonder why? Russia's always been portrayed as the villain in the movies, like since like 30 years. What is it like? The bully points the finger at somebody else. He's the bully. I'm innocent. Always like that. I mean, like nobody got clean fingers. Nobody got clean hands. Everybody got skeletons in their closet. But like at the end of the day,
Why? What is your comment, approximation on latest statements from Donald Trump, who said that if necessary he will take military action on Greenland? And I'm just going to read it. Commissioner Kubilius from European Commission has said that EU members are obliged to come to Denmark's assistance under EU treaty if faced with military aggression. And as we know, 23 countries of EU are also members of NATO. Gospodine Plenković, including Croatia, yes. Gospodine Plenković, evo isto vaš komentar, molim na to. Hvala.
Yes, well, on that question, and it is a little bit, I think, repeating my previous reaction, but thank you very much for that important question. And I think what is at core here...
he's Dutch.
And to the core of this question is that we all make that same analysis, and there is no debate or discussion about that. The analysis is sound and is there that when it comes to the High North, the Arctic region, I was myself visiting Iceland only, I think, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we also extensively discussed this, and I was in Norway and other visiting other allies, discussing with the US and with Canada. I was with the Prime Minister Carney last week in Paris discussing the importance of the Arctic. So collectively, as an alliance, and particularly, of course, the 7 countries who are bordering on the region, we do make this analysis.
Like he's getting ready. He's getting his troops ready. His analysis will probably show, yeah, Trump is most likely to invade because, like, after like Venezuela, and his ego got rushed fairly though, and yeah, either one of 3 will take it, according to Trump. Not fully believing that, but hey, bro, you never know.
Is that the collective defense is crucial. We all see that through changes in weather patterns that sea lanes are opening up. And we have to make sure that we do everything to protect that region. It is a vital part of NATO territory. And that is exactly why, where in the past, NATO was not so much involved when it came.
That's why these videos always take that long. I mean, bro, just answer the question. He's talking. Oh, I'm like, yes, to some questions you need a backstory. Fair. But like that is just... Will you stand against Trump? Yes, they have to. Because of the peace treaty. They got to. But like in the end, will they all hold together?
To
Not
the
quite.
Arctic, that
I
since
don't think so.
2025, on the request by the 7 High North allies who are bordering on the Arctic, that NATO has become more involved. This has led to a few, as I said, very successful discussions within the NATO alliance with our ambassadors in Brussels and our ministers. We discussed this importance, and currently we are working on the next steps to make sure that indeed we collectively protect what is at stake here.
Yeah, I mean, you better. Some parts, I mean, I'm thinking, and should I be thinking out loud? Man, I don't know if I want Russia to have Greenland. I mean, like, if what Trump says is real, like, and one of these 3 will take it, I honestly want Russia to take it, to have it. I'd be more suitable with Russians and living in Russia than like with certain cities in the US. I'm just saying. Like, the people are not the problem, but the people feed into the problem, and that's the problem. You get the problem? Cool. Let's go.
Allow me to add a few words related to Greenland, Denmark, and the signals that have been coming from the US administration. We have been communicating with the Danish government, with Prime Minister Frederiksen. We were in Paris together last week. And this week, according to announcement, there will be a meeting with the State Secretary Rubio. The message of all allies and all EU members is that allies have to respect each other, including the US as the largest NATO member. It is obvious what Secretary General said, that there is some concern for the area of Arctic, which includes Greenland, but I am confident that with discussion we can find a solution that will ensure security for the US, and it will make sure that Greenland is a part of Denmark, although it's not in the EU, but it is clear that it is within the authority of Denmark. That's why high-quality dialogue is necessary, and it can definitely resolve this situation for the benefit of the global security.
Tamara Markovic, Croatian television.
Yes,
yes.
Ma'am, hi.
For Secretary General. So the new peace plan for Ukraine, the 20-point peace plan, mentions security guarantees similar to Article 5 from NATO. So my question is, if those guarantees resemble Article 5, why not give Ukraine the real deal, the real Article 5 and NATO membership? Are the doors of NATO closed for Ukraine? And za premijera Plenkovića, što vi kažete na te sigurnosne garancije i treba li Ukrajina u NATO? Hvala.
When it comes to NATO membership of Ukraine, there was a summit in Washington in 2024 which was very clear and we stated in the specific words of
Ukraine should not join NATO.
Statement,
Russia made it fucking clear, bro.
Of Ukraine into NATO. So that was the political commitment in 2024, and that still stands. At the same time, we know that several allies, including Hungary and the United States and some others, are either against or very much doubtful about full NATO membership for Ukraine. That is a given, that is a fact. And at the moment, we have to deal with the situation in Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia, particularly since the brutal, unprovoked onslaught of Russia against Ukraine starting in February 22. And what is being discussed now with the United States, with all NATO allies, within the coalition of the willing, led by and originally organized and led by the French and the Brits, is how, after a full peace deal / a long-term ceasefire, how to make sure that Russia will never ever attack again. And if it is then not NATO, what then? And that's exactly the debate which is now currently taking place. The US is very important here. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are playing a very positive role here, together with Marco Rubio, under the guidance of President Trump, who has broken a deadlock with Putin by starting to dialogue with him. And he had to do that. He was the only one who could do this, and I was very happy he did, starting in February last year. And last week in Paris, and we were both there, I think we made big progress on nailing as much as possible what those security guarantees will be in 3 levels. Level 1 being the Ukrainian armed forces. Level 2, a coalition of the willing organizing itself in such a way that it will help to build up the Ukrainian armed forces, but also functioning clearly collectively as, in addition to the Ukrainian armed forces, protecting, at least preventing the Russians from getting into a position where they want to attack again, but also the US being heavily involved in various ways, as we discussed last week in Paris. So we have these 3 layers. That was very successful. That is now being finalized next to everything which is needed when it comes to the reconstruction of Ukraine. And obviously that still leaves the very sensitive issue of territory. Very sensitive, where in the end it has to be the Ukrainian government taking the decisions on what they want to do, yes or no, when it comes to territory. But they need to know
will join.
that whenever that moment comes, when they have to decide on territory,
I mean, no, they will not join. That's stupid for me to say. I think Zelensky leans more to joining NATO than not. And that's absolute horseshit, in my opinion. It was clear since the early history, like even in 2014, when the stuff erupted with Putin and stuff. They broke the deal. It was intended since 2014 that the border was not to be touched, not that Ukraine should not join NATO, and they agreed. And now, look at this. You can't expect. Look, if I terrorize somebody, push him into a corner, he gets a hold of me, incapacitates me, even kills me, whatever fits, whatever his defense, if his defense fits my actions, fair. But still, he will be looked at as a murderer, as a killer, whatever, and I'm there. Even though he did the right thing. You get what I'm saying? Like people always, the bully or like the one who turns into a bully wasn't always a bully. He got poked at and whatever until he explodes. And when the time comes for explosion, everybody points the fucking finger. And where's the fucking finger? On the bully. Black sheep. The one who tried to stop it. The one who not threatened but stated clearly that's how it be. That's how it needs to be. That's how it wasn't oppression, it was not blackmail. They agreed on that. Both parties agreed on that. So if you push then the other part into a corner and he reacts, the one who reacts is always the dumb one in the eyes of the population. The one who reacts is always the impulsive one, the one who can't control his emotions and whatsoever. And the one who reacts is always the evil one.
That they have the full backing, not only of their own armed forces, but also of this coalition of the willing.
Ukraine
the
has to
United
decide.
States to collectively make sure that indeed the Russians will not repeat what they did after 2014, 2015 with the Minsk agreement, which is attacking Ukraine again.
I mean, like if you list that on the bottom, I'm more leaning to the right. Sorry, boys. More leaning to the right than these two make it really hard. Even though I like Trump, He's done some good stuff, and as I always say, we need somebody like Trump in Europe to take actions on immigration. We need that. Other than that, I'm fucking fine. Fucking fine.
Allow me to add a few words. This is a relevant
Russia will not intervene again or not repeat if you keep up the end of the bargain.
topic, and I myself participated in the Coalition of the Willing meeting in Paris. Allow me to explain what the position of Croatia is and what is really happening. So, the United States have a strong desire to create preconditions for peace. This is the key message of President Trump and his administration, and it is a more than welcome message. It has been welcomed by everyone. In order to secure the peace, the other side has to agree to this peace, in this case Russia.
There's always two
Russia
sides.
is the aggressor on
To
the
a beef
Ukrainian
and to a
territory for the past 4 years
peace.
now. Right now, the problem is the fact that Russia first wants to agree and then ceasefire.
Looks like he's just repeating what the other one says.
In Paris, proposed first ceasefire as the first step, and then.
But like it's a good thing to see. I wanted to skip it, but like yeah, kind of want to see if they really. Like you guys can skip it. You can see whatever the timestamp. But I just want to see if they translate it accordingly. I mean, I can't honestly. I'm an idiot sometimes, but I can hear what they're saying. I can understand the Hrvatski language. My dog is. What?
Peace agreement as the following steps. We believe that on the basis of Croatian-specific experience, Ukraine should never de jure give up on its territory of the
We're
occupied
skipping.
territory. This is a
I'm sorry,
topic
boys,
that
but
is
we're skipping.
later. So that's
I don't need that. We'll give him another shot after another question, but no. What is that?
why the entire perspective with security guarantees, that other options providing security support to Ukraine in these difficult times.
I want to, because I want to hear what he has to say. He's just, I don't know who he is.
Question for both. 4 years ago, a drone was shot
Question above. Okay. So,
down in Zagreb. It went through 3 NATO members. What is the level of security of NATO airspace?
Well, that's a very good question. And by the way, let me first of all commend Croatia for now taking over the control of its own airspace with the latest investments. And I was really impressed this morning to see with my own eyes the people operating that system and of course the gear you've bought from the French,
that's true,
Turkey,
yeah.
and
People
from
should be
the US,
able
to indeed, for you to be able to control the
to
Croatian
control
airspace, but
their
also to
own
provide your help and
airspace.
when
Thank you for
necessary,
filling in
your
the blanks.
support
What the fuck?
to other NATO allies wherever necessary and where you can do that. When it comes to drones, we have seen, of course, drone incursions last year in September in Poland. We have seen MIRT entering the airspace of Estonia a couple of weeks later in September. Whatever exactly was it intentional or not, at least it was reckless. And this is the reason why our new, relatively new, he started in July, but still relatively new, Supreme Allied Commander, Alexis Krenkovic, the general who is now leading NATO's military side, has decided to start with full support of the rest of NATO and all the allies, Eastern Central.
All right.
And Eastern Central is making sure that we bring together, when it comes to, for example, drones and airspace incursions and protecting allied territory, brings together all our allies, all our capabilities from the Black Sea up to the High North to make sure, mirroring what we have done with Baltic Sentry, making sure that we are much more effective to control our airspace, to protect our territory on land, sea and air, but also to become better and better and better in implementing the latest drone technologies. We are learning here, by the way, from Ukraine. We have a joint
drone stuff
NATO
needs to
Ukraine
stop.
activity center in Poland.
I mean, like, sure, everybody, it needs to stop. As a collective group, we need it to stop. Everybody. I mean, like, sure, I can't expect, for example, the US to stop drone investments. I can't expect that, and I can't say it out loud because otherwise it would be stupid, right? But like, drone as a whole is such the weakest warfare that was ever created by man. What the fuck, bro? I mean, like, that smirk. Yeah. No, that's my ADHD. Back to topic. Those drones, the weakest warfare. It's just, as a collective, it needs to stop. I mean, like, you can't expect, if I have enemies and the enemies are reinforcing their equipment and everything, you can't expect me to stand here and be like, that's something we don't need. That's something we don't, yeah. What would that sound like? Like an excuse, like I don't have the financial possibilities and equities to make progress in that field, right? It would sound like an excuse. But now, once the minute somebody starts, everybody needs. If one country, if nobody had guns, if no person of that planet had guns, it'd be fine. But as soon as one person has, yeah, he got one, I need to defend myself from that. The third one says, yeah, look, these two got guns. I need one from protection myself. Here we go. And like in the last decade, Elon Musk has been the one to show how it's done. That's why that boy will be the one with the gun. Like, he's the most dangerous person, and you people don't get that. Like, for real, he's the one he showed it with Twitter, like how we can do it. In the last video, I stated, you guys, like his plan with Mars and whatever, the colonization and stuff, like the resource management. Like, he shows with the data centers, with the unemployed, he shows the companies, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it only needs one person, and we back to square one, or even zero. If one person has it, everybody needs it. And now I can't expect no one to drop their drone progress. I get it, but it's wicked and evil.
JTech, where we analyze and train when it comes to all the insights from the war in Ukraine. And unfortunately, of course, this is taking place in Ukraine, but Ukraine is helping us to learn. When in Copenhagen in October, there were two big meetings taking place, the European Council informal and the European political community. And there were big worries about drones over Copenhagen. It was Ukraine with support from allies and NATO to help Denmark to be better in terms of understanding and also fending off those threats. So here we are learning from Ukraine, working with Ukraine, also to become better ourselves when it comes to drones. And I was really impressed this morning, again, when I saw what you are buying from Turkey in terms of drone technology. And of course, you have your own, when it comes to drones, your own industry here in Croatia, which is commendable.
Just a few words. Several years ago, in 2022, yes, a drone fell in Croatia. Right now, we have Rafale.
Yeah, that's what they do. Sometimes they fall from the sky.
We did not have MiG aircraft at that time. But now we have the reaction, 15-minute reaction time of any kind of intelligence. So the entire cooperation
That's not me.
Is on the NATO level has been raised to a higher level, which means that the countries that any such drone might come from, their readiness is also much higher. So the recognition of the threat is at a much higher level. So with our European system, which is in the new investment phase and increasing the capabilities and capacity, are in a much better position now than 4 years ago. Do we know where did this drone come from? The one that fell 4 years ago in Croatia. Do you know where this drone came from? Yes, we have information. It came from Ukrainian territory and it flew over Hungary. We said it many times. At that time, Hungarian
what would that Ukrainian drone do in Croatia?
Identify it, and that's why we did not expect this drone in Croatian space. Last question.
If I just may briefly follow up on my colleague's question, where exactly from in Ukraine, and who was the one who shot the projectile? Do we know that now? No, we don't know that. NATO doesn't know that. Okay. My question goes to the Secretary General, but of course, Prime Minister, you're more.
Yeah, he said basically ne zna ni NATO. They didn't translate it. He basically said NATO doesn't know it as well.
Secretary General, can you recall a larger internal crisis that NATO has faced than the one the alliance is facing now, with Donald Trump saying we should go to Greenland and take it? Or do you even see that as an internal crisis, or is it not a crisis at all? And is the best way of communicating with Mr. Trump and trying to maybe smooth the relationship is the way that you have been using communication so far, which was basically flooding him with compliments and calling him daddy? Thank you.
Yeah, let me start with challenge you a bit on the second part of your question. What I always do is when people are helpful for the alliance and are doing good stuff, and I believe that Donald Trump is doing the right things for NATO, by encouraging us all to spend more, to equalize this, what the US is spending. We had a very successful summit in The Hague, where we decided on the 5% defense spending, including 3.5% from core defense. I'm absolutely convinced without Donald Trump, we would never have had that result at the summit in The Hague. We have now the whole of the alliance
Now the
on
big
this
but.
famous 2%, which we announced in 2014 in Wales. I'm absolutely convinced without Donald Trump, we would not have the whole alliance at this moment on the 2% and now working towards the 3.5%, incredible steps. So when I praise somebody, it is based on facts, and I believe the facts are there. We might disagree, but that is how I see this. As NATO Secretary General, it is my role to make sure that the whole of the alliance is as secure and safe as possible. And I applaud the fact that our colleagues who are bordering on the Arctic have come together, have worked together, and have decided to get NATO more and more involved. This was the discussion in Brussels I referred to in answering a few previous questions. Earlier last year in September and other moments last year when they discussed the High North. And we are now building on that. You've seen some announcements by the Brits and the Germans today. We are working now together to see how we can basically together as an alliance, including our 7 members, our allies bordering on the High North, on the Arctic, to work together to indeed build that next step, which is crucial. That's the United States, that's Canada, that's Iceland, Denmark, and the other European countries bordering on the High North, all 7, but of course with the whole of the alliance. By the way, as we speak, we see Denmark at the moment already speeding up their investments when it comes to defense, not only generally, but also when it comes to unique capabilities to defend territories like Greenland. So,
Yeah, I guess, as he said, Trump has some good stuff. He pushes people to do better. He has, even though, like I said, I'd be on the right side of history. Like, not really, not always, but like, the West tends more to lie. I mean, like, sure, everybody lies. It's the game of politics. But still, Trump has some very good characteristics, which needs to be pushed.
thereby.
But he has horrible characteristics as well.
More F-35s, they're working on air-to-air refueling. They have bought these P-8 Boeings, the long-range drones. Billions invested there in American equipment necessary to defend Denmark, NATO, but also territories like Greenland. So we are really working together here. And my only worry is, how do we stay safe against the Russians, against any other adversary? Look at what China is doing in rapidly building up its own armed forces, but also North Korea.
Yeah, but everybody's doing that. You're reinforcing your military troops. Everybody's doing that. And I'm not quite sure. And that's the thing. And that's the thing.
Koreans and others who might wish us ill, and not well at least. And therefore, that's my role, and I think we will get there. In the right direction. No, not at all, and I think we are really working in the right direction.
Okay, look, guys, there's something. There will be a new world order, right? Everything that is being done, Venezuela is not for the oil, right? There's a bigger picture. There's a new world order coming. So right now, Russia is being portrayed as the villain, right? China is not in social media. So like the only perspective and the only view that we have is from US, NATO, and these countries. We only got one view out of 3. One view out of 3. And it's crucial to find out the other 2, right? Because like we need the perspective of every party included. But right now we only got one. Let's see where that brings us. See ya, boys.